The signal came from the deepest part of space, crackling through Earth's orbital defense station like a cry for help. Doctor. So-Young Kim sat in the communications room, her fingers dancing across the translation computers. She had heard many strange sounds from space before, but this one made her hands shake. Admiral Park, she called through the intercom. You need to hear this right now. Admiral Min-jun Park walked quickly into the room. He was a tall man, with gray hair and serious eyes. For 20 years, he had protected Earth from any threats that might come from space. But he had never heard anything like the sound coming from the speakers. The voice was not human, but the fear in it was something everyone could understand. Dr. Kim worked on her computers, slowly turning the alien words into something they could read. They are calling themselves the Zephyrian Republic, Dr. Kim said. Her voice was quiet and worried. They say they are a peaceful people who only want to trade with other worlds. But something called the Korath Empire is attacking them. Admiral Park listened as more of the message became clear. The aliens spoke of cities burning and millions of their people dying. They talked about ships that could destroy whole planets and an enemy that showed no mercy to anyone. They are asking for help from anyone who can hear them. Doctor, Kim continued. They say their military is gone. Their weapons cannot stop the Korath Empire. If no one helps them, their entire species will die in the next few days. Captain Lee Dong-wook entered the room just as the message ended. He was the best tactical officer in Earth's fleet and Admiral Park's most trusted friend. Sir, our deep space scanners are picking up massive energy signatures from that direction. Whatever is happening out there, it's big. Admiral Park stood silent for a long moment. Earth had always followed a simple rule about space: protect the planet and stay out of other people's wars. But this was different. These were innocent people asking for help against an enemy that wanted to kill them all. How far away are they? Admiral Park asked. 3 weeks at maximum speed, Captain Lee replied. But sir, we don't know anything about this Korath Empire. They could have weapons and ships far beyond anything we have ever seen. Dr. Kim looked up from her computers. Admiral, I'm getting more details from their transmission. The Zephyrians are not warriors. They are traders and farmers and scientists. They have never hurt anyone. The Korath Empire attacks them just because they can. Admiral Park thought about his own family back on Earth. He thought about all the families everywhere who just wanted to live in peace. Then he thought about the fear he had heard in the alien voice, and he knew what he had to do. Contact the Defense Council, he ordered. Tell them we need an emergency meeting right now. 2 hours later, Admiral Park stood before Earth's 12-member Defense Council. The room was full of tension as he explained the situation. Some council members worried about getting involved in an alien war. Others questioned whether Earth's fleet could make any difference against such a powerful enemy. We have spent decades building our defenses, Admiral Park said to the council. We have the strongest shields in known space. Our weapons are designed to protect, not to conquer. But what good are all our defenses if we only use them to hide? Counselor Han spoke up from her seat. Admiral, you are asking us to send our entire war fleet across the galaxy to fight an unknown enemy for people we have never met. I am asking us to do what is right, Admiral Park replied. These people are going to die if we do nothing. They are not asking us to conquer anyone or take their resources. They just want to live. Underlie. The room fell quiet as the council members thought about the decision. Finally, Counselor Chen stood up. The Zephyrians called out to the galaxy for help, and we are the only ones who answered. What does that say about us if we turn away now? The vote was close, but it passed. Earth would send its fleet to help the Zephyrian Republic. Admiral Park returned to the command center and called his best officers together. Captain Lee Dong-wook gathered the tactical teams. Captain Yoon Ji-hae prepared the first contact protocols. Commander Choi Hyun-woo organized the defensive formations. This is not a mission of conquest. Admiral Park told his officers. We are not going there to take territory or resources. We are going there to protect innocent lives. Our job is to stand between the Korath Empire and the people they want to kill. Dr. Kim had been working all day to send a reply message back to the Zephyrian Republic. It would take weeks to reach them, but she wanted them to know help was coming. Tell them, Admiral Park said as he watched her work, that Earth has heard their call. Tell them we are bringing our strongest ships and our best people. Tell them to hold on just a little longer. As Dr. Kim sent the message into the darkness of space, Admiral Park looked out at Earth's war fleet. 50 of the most advanced defensive ships ever built were preparing for the longest journey in human history. Each ship carried enough shield generators to protect an entire planet and weapons designed to stop any attacker. But Admiral Park knew that their real strength was not in their technology. It was in their willingness to help strangers who needed them. It was in their belief that protecting the innocent was worth any risk. 3 hours later, the fleet launched. As they disappeared into the darkness between stars, Dr. Kim wondered if the Zephyrians would survive long enough to see them arrive. She wondered if Earth's fleet would be enough to stop an empire that had conquered dozens of worlds. But Admiral Park had no doubts. Somewhere in the galaxy, people were dying and calling for help, and Earth had answered. 3 weeks later, Earth's war fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Zephyrian system. What Admiral Minjun Park saw through the main viewing screen made his heart heavy with sadness. Entire planets were burning. Great cities that had taken thousands of years to build were now nothing but glowing ruins. Millions of small ships fled through space, carrying whatever Zephyrian families had managed to escape the destruction. "My God," whispered Captain Lee Dong-wook as he looked at the scanner readings. "How many people lived here?" "According to their original message, about 8 billion, replied Dr. So-young Kim. Her voice was quiet and full of sorrow. "I'm detecting maybe 2 million survivors in those refugee ships." Admiral Park clenched his fists as he watched the fleeing ships. Many were badly damaged and would not last much longer in space. Some were so overloaded with refugees that their engines were failing. "Admiral," called Commander Choi Hyun-woo from his station, "I'm picking up Korath Empire ships on the outer edge of the system. It looks like they're hunting down the refugee ships, one by one." "Not anymore," Admiral Park said firmly. "All ships form protective formation around the refugee fleet. Shields to maximum power. Any Korath ship that wants to hurt these people will have to go through us first." Earth's 50 warships moved quickly into position. Each ship extended its shields to create a massive protective barrier around the fleeing Zephyrians. The refugees had been running in fear for days, but suddenly they found themselves surrounded by strange new ships. Ambassador Yoon Ji-hae stepped forward. She had spent the entire journey learning what little they knew about Zephyrian language and culture. "Admiral, let me try to contact them. They must be terrified. They probably think we're another enemy fleet." The communication channel opened, and Ambassador Yoon spoke slowly and carefully. "Zephyrian people, this is Ambassador Yoon Ji-hae from the planet Earth. We received your distress call. We have come to help you." The response came quickly, filled with confusion and fear. "Unknown ships. We do not understand. Are you here to destroy us too? We have nothing left to take." "We are not here to take anything," Ambassador Yoon replied gently. "We heard your call for help across the galaxy." There was a long silence from the refugee ships. Then, a new voice came through, older and filled with the weight of terrible loss. "I am Chancellor Veltar of what remains of the Zephyrian Republic. You say you come from a world called Earth. We have never heard of your species. Why would you travel so far to help strangers?" Admiral Park took over the communication. "Chancellor Veltar. My name is Admiral Minjun Park. We help you because it is the right thing to do. We heard your people crying for help, and we could not ignore that cry. But you are so few, Chancellor Veltar said with sadness. The Korath Empire has thousands of ships. They have weapons that can destroy planets. Your small fleet will be crushed, just like ours was. Maybe, Admiral Park admitted. But we will not let them hurt your people without a fight. Can you tell us where your survivors are gathering? We will escort them to safety. As the Zephyrian ships moved closer to Earth's protective formation, Ambassador Yoon began to see them more clearly. The aliens were tall and thin, with pale blue skin and large eyes that seemed to hold ancient wisdom. Even in their fear and exhaustion, they moved with grace and dignity. Admiral, Captain Lee called out urgently. Korath ships are approaching. 12 heavy cruisers and a command dreadnought. They'll be in weapons range in 10 minutes. Chancellor Veltar's voice came through the communications again, filled with panic. Earth ships, you must run now. Those are Korath hunters. They specialize in destroying refugee fleets. Your ships will be torn apart. Chancellor, Admiral Park said calmly, please have your ships move behind our formation. We will handle the Korath Empire. But you don't understand, Chancellor Veltar cried. Their weapons go right through our shields like they are made of air. Their armor is too strong for our weapons to damage. How can you fight them? When we could not. Admiral Park smiled for the first time since arriving in the system. Chancellor, your people are traders and builders and scientists. You were never meant to be warriors. But Earth has spent decades preparing for exactly this kind of fight. As the Korath ships came closer, Earth's fleet could see them clearly. They were ugly, brutal-looking vessels designed only for destruction. Their hulls were covered in weapons, and their engines glowed with violent red energy. The Korath command ship opened a communication channel. The voice that came through was cold and full of cruelty. Unknown ships, you are interfering with Korath Empire operations. Remove yourselves immediately or be destroyed along with these pathetic refugees. Admiral Park responded without fear. This is Admiral Park of the Earth Defense Fleet. These people are under our protection. If you want to harm them, you will have to go through us. The Korath commander laughed, a horrible sound that made the Zephyrian refugees tremble in fear. Earth? Never heard of it. You must be some primitive species that doesn't know its place. We will teach you respect for the Korath Empire. Admiral, whispered Commander Choi. All our ships are in position. Shields are charged to full power. The refugee fleet is protected behind us. Admiral Park looked at the approaching enemy ships and felt no fear, only determination. These Korath bullies had spent years destroying innocent civilizations and killing anyone who could not fight back. But now they faced something they had never encountered before. Humans who would not run away and would not surrender. Attention all Earth ships, Admiral Park announced. Remember why we are here. We are not here to conquer or destroy. We are here to protect innocent lives. Every Zephyrian behind us is someone's family, someone's friend, someone's hope for the future. We will not let the Korath Empire take that away from them. The Korath ships opened fire, sending massive energy beams toward Earth's fleet. But instead of trying to dodge the attacks, the human ships held their positions and let their shields absorb the damage. The Zephyrians watched in amazement as Earth's shields glowed brightly but did not break. The Korath weapons, which had easily destroyed their own defenses, seemed to have no effect on the human ships. Impossible, Chancellor Veltar whispered. How are they doing that? Admiral Park smiled as his shields held strong against the Korath attack. Chancellor, your people are about to learn something important about Earth. We may be outnumbered, but we are not outmatched. The Korath Empire's attack ships filled space with deadly energy beams and explosive missiles. Their weapons had destroyed hundreds of worlds and countless civilizations. But as their fire struck Earth's defensive line, something impossible happened. The human ships absorbed every attack without breaking. Captain COJ-1 watched his shield readings from the bridge of the Earth ship Guardian. The Korath weapons were powerful, but his ship's defensive systems had been designed for exactly this kind of battle. Shield strength, at 87%, and holding steady, he reported to Admiral Park. War Commander Thrax of the Korath Empire stared at his battle screens in disbelief. His weapons should have torn through the small human fleet in seconds. Instead, the Earth ships sat calmly in space, protecting the Zephyrian refugees like an unbreakable wall. Increase power to all weapons, Thrax roared at his crew. No pathetic primitive species can stand against the might of the Korath Empire. But Admiral Park had no intention of simply standing there and taking damage all day. All ships, begin defensive maneuver 7. Show them what happens when they pick on innocent people. Earth's fleet moved with perfect coordination. Instead of charging forward to attack, they formed a moving shield wall that stayed between the Korath ships and the refugees. Every time the enemy tried to move around them, the humans shifted position to block their path. "What are they doing?" Chancellor Veltar asked from his refugee ship. "Why don't they attack? They could easily destroy those Korath ships." Ambassador Yoon-ji-hae answered gently. "Chancellor, humans fight differently than most species. We don't attack to conquer or destroy. We fight to protect. Those Earth ships will hold that line no matter what the Korath Empire throws at them." Captain Lee Dong-wook studied his tactical displays as the Korath ships tried different attack patterns. "Admiral, they're getting frustrated. Their commander is starting to make mistakes." "Good," Admiral Park replied. "Frustrated enemies make poor decisions. Continue defensive positions. Let them wear themselves out against our shields." For 2 hours, the battle continued. The Korath Empire threw everything they had at Earth's defensive line, but the human shields never failed. Meanwhile, behind the protection of the fleet, Zephyrian rescue ships worked to repair damaged refugee vessels and help wounded survivors. War Commander Thrax was becoming desperate. His reputation in the Korath Empire was built on quick, brutal victories. He had never faced an enemy that refused to break under his attacks. "Bring up the planet killer missiles," he ordered. "We'll destroy them all at once." The Korath command ship launched 6 massive weapons, each one capable of cracking a planet's surface. They streaked through space toward Earth's fleet, leaving trails of deadly energy behind them. "Admiral," Captain Seo called out in alarm, "those are planet killer class weapons. Our shields won't be able to stop them all." But Admiral Park remained calm. "All ships. Defensive formation, Omega. Overlapping shield barrier. Maximum power." Every Earth ship in the fleet turned their shield generators toward the incoming missiles. 50 sets of defensive screens combined into one massive barrier that blazed with brilliant light. When the planet killers struck, the explosion lit up half the solar system. The Zephyrian refugees watched in terror as the blast wave spread outward. They were certain that their protectors had been destroyed. But when the light faded, Earth's fleet was still there, shields glowing but unbroken. "Incredible," whispered Dr. So-young Kim from the command ship. The shields held. All ships reporting minor damage only. War Commander Thrax stared at his screens in shock. His planet-killer missiles had failed. The primitive Earth species had defensive technology beyond anything he had ever seen. "This is impossible. No one can withstand planet-killer weapons." Admiral Park opened a communication channel to the Korath command ship. "War Commander Thrax, your weapons cannot break our defenses. But we are not interested in destroying your ships. Withdraw now, and no harm will come to your forces." Thrax's response was filled with rage. "The Korath Empire does not retreat. We will bring our entire fleet here and crush you." "That is your choice," Admiral Park said sadly. "But you will not harm these refugees while we are here to protect them." Behind Earth's defensive line, something remarkable was happening. The Zephyrian refugees, who had been running in terror for weeks, began to feel hope again. They watched as the human ships held their position no matter what the Korath Empire threw at them. Chancellor Veltar contacted Admiral Park again. Admiral, my people are asking how they can help in this battle. We may not have strong weapons, but we have ships that can carry supplies or rescue wounded. Chancellor, the best help you can give us is to keep your people safe, Admiral Park replied. But if some of your ships want to help with rescue operations, we would welcome the assistance. Soon, Zephyrian rescue vessels were working alongside human ships to save survivors from damaged refugee craft. The aliens were amazed by how quickly the humans shared their medical technology and defensive procedures. These Earth people are unlike any species we have ever met, Chancellor Veltar told his advisors. They ask for nothing in return for their protection. They share their technology freely. They treat our people as equals, not as conquered subjects. Captain Lee studied the Korath battle formation as they regrouped for another attack. Admiral, they're calling in reinforcements. I count 30 more ships approaching from the outer system. Let them come, Admiral Park said, without worry. The more ships they bring, the more they will learn that bullying innocent people is not acceptable. War Commander Thrax received his reinforcements and prepared for a massive assault. This time, we will not fail, he announced to his expanded fleet. These Earth primitives got lucky once, but luck does not last forever. But Admiral Park had been studying Korath tactics during the battle. He understood how their empire worked now. They were used to fighting weak opponents who would run away or surrender quickly. They had never faced an enemy that would stand firm and protect others no matter the cost. All ships, Admiral Park announced to his fleet, prepare for the real battle. They're bringing everything they have this time. Remember, behind us are millions of innocent people who are counting on us to keep them safe. As the expanded Korath fleet moved into attack position, the Zephyrian refugees gathered on their viewing screens to watch. They had seen their own military destroyed by these same enemies. They had watched their worlds burn and their families die. But now, for the first time in weeks, they believed they might actually survive. Earth ships. Chancellor Veltar broadcast to the human fleet. Whatever happens in this battle, know that the Zephyrian people will never forget what you have done for us. Admiral Park smiled as he watched the enemy ships approach. Chancellor, this battle is not over yet. Your people are going to do more than just survive. They're going to go home. Argara. Just Argar. War Commander Thrax now had 80 ships under his command, more than enough to destroy any normal fleet. His new strategy was simple. Attack from all directions at once so the human ships could not protect everyone. Spread out and surround them, Thrax ordered his commanders. When they try to protect one group of refugees, we will attack from the other side. These Earth fools cannot be everywhere at once. But Thrax had made a serious mistake. He still thought like a conqueror, not a protector. He did not understand how Earth's defensive technology really worked. Chief Engineer Kang Mi-Ray worked quickly at her station aboard the flagship. She had been watching the Korath attack patterns for hours, and now she had an idea. Admiral Park, I think I can modify our shield frequencies to create a protective dome over the entire refugee fleet. How long do you need? Admiral Park asked as enemy ships moved into position around them. Give me 10 minutes, and I can link every ship's shields together, Engineer Kang replied. It will create one massive defensive barrier instead of 50 smaller ones. Captain Nam Tae-hyung was coordinating the rescue operations when he noticed something unexpected. Admiral, some of the Zephyrian ships are moving out of the protected zone. It looks like they want to join the battle. On his ship, Chancellor Veltar was arguing with his military advisor. Sir, our weapons are useless against Korath armor, the advisor said. We should stay behind the Earth ships, where it's safe. My people have been running and hiding for too long, Chancellor Veltar replied firmly. These humans came across the galaxy to protect us. The least we can do is stand with them. A young Zephyrian pilot named Kieran spoke up from her fighter cockpit. "Chancellor, our weapons may be weak, but our ships are fast. We can help by drawing enemy fire away from the Earth vessels." Admiral Park received Chancellor Veltar's request to join the battle and was quiet for a moment. He understood the aliens' need to fight for their own people, but he also knew how dangerous it would be for them. "Chancellor," Admiral Park said finally, "if your people insist on joining this battle, we will coordinate with you. But promise me, you will not take unnecessary risks. Your people have already lost too much." "We promise, Admiral," Chancellor Veltar replied, "but we cannot just watch while others fight for our freedom." Engineer Kang finished her modifications just as the Korath ships began their coordinated attack. "Shield link is active," she announced. "All Earth ships are now connected into one defensive network." The result was spectacular. Instead of 50 separate shield barriers, Earth's fleet now projected one enormous protective dome that covered the entire area where the refugees were gathered. The Korath weapons struck the barrier from all directions, but the combined power of 50 ships easily absorbed their attacks. "Impossible!" War Commander Thrax screamed as he watched his carefully planned assault fail completely. No defensive system can be that strong. But Admiral Park was not content to just defend. He had been studying Korath ship movements and had noticed something important. "Captain Lee, their formations are designed for attacking weak opponents. They don't know how to fight against a coordinated defense." "What do you mean, sir?" Captain Lee asked as he tracked the enemy positions. "Look at how they spread out," Admiral Park explained. "They're trying to attack from everywhere at once, but that means their ships can't support each other. If we redirect their own attacks." Admiral Park's strategy was brilliant in its simplicity. Instead of trying to block the Korath attacks, Earth's ships began using their shields to redirect the enemy fire. Weapons that were aimed at the refugees were bounced back toward other Korath ships. The result was chaos in the enemy fleet. Korath ships found themselves under attack from their own weapons, fired by their own allies. Their formation broke apart as commanders tried to avoid hitting each other. "Admiral," Captain Nam called out excitedly, "3 Korath ships just destroyed each other with misdirected fire." Meanwhile, the Zephyrian fighters were proving more helpful than anyone expected. Their small, fast ships darted between the larger Korath vessels, forcing the enemy to choose between hitting the fighters or maintaining their attack on Earth's defensive dome. Pilot Kieran flew her small craft directly at a Korath cruiser, then spun away at the last second. The cruiser's defensive guns fired at her, but missed and hit another Korath ship instead. "This is actually working," she called out over the communications. Engineer Kang monitored the shield network as the battle continued. The system was holding perfectly. But she noticed something else. "Admiral, I'm detecting some kind of distress signals from other nearby star systems." Dr. So-Young Kim worked quickly to decode the new messages. "Admiral, these signals are from other species under attack by the Korath Empire. They're asking if the reports about Earth ships defeating Korath forces are true." Admiral Park realized that news of their battle was spreading across the galaxy. Other civilizations were learning that someone had finally stood up to the Korath Empire and won. "Dr. Kim, send a reply. Tell them that Earth stands with all peaceful species against aggression." War Commander Thrax was becoming desperate as his attack failed completely. He had lost 12 ships to misdirected fire, and had not managed to damage a single human vessel or refugee ship. His reputation in the Korath Empire was being destroyed with every passing minute. "All ships, focus fire on one section of their barrier," Thrax ordered. "If we cannot break through everywhere, we will break through somewhere." But Engineer Kang had anticipated this strategy. "Admiral, they're concentrating their attack on Section 7. I'm rerouting additional shield power to that area." The concentrated Korath attack struck Earth's barrier like a hammer blow. For a moment, the shields flickered and seemed ready to fail. But then power from all 50 ships flowed to the threatened area, and the barrier held strong. Shield strength at 60% and stabilizing, Engineer Kang reported. We can handle this all day if we need to. Chancellor Veltar watched the battle from his command ship and marveled at what he was seeing. In all our history, we never imagined that defense could be so powerful. These humans have turned protection into an art form. But the most amazing thing was still to come. As the battle continued, more and more ships began arriving at the edge of the system. They came from dozens of different worlds, all species that had heard about Earth's stand against the Korath Empire. Admiral, Captain Nam reported with excitement in his voice, we have 43 ships from 17 different species, requesting permission to join our defensive formation. Admiral Park looked at the growing fleet of Allied vessels and felt something he had never experienced before. Earth was no longer fighting alone. Their example had inspired the entire region of the galaxy to stand up against the Korath Empire. Grant permission to all friendly vessels, Admiral Park ordered. Link them into our defensive network. Today, we show the Korath Empire what happens when good people decide to fight together. As more Allied ships joined the battle, the massive defensive barrier grew even stronger. Species that had never met before worked together seamlessly, united by their desire to protect the innocent and stop the Korath Empire's reign of terror. War Commander Thrax looked at his tactical displays and saw his worst nightmare coming true. Instead of fighting one small fleet, he was now facing a rapidly growing alliance of dozens of species, all working together under Earth's defensive leadership. For the first time in his military career, Thrax began to consider the possibility of retreat. The sight before War Commander Thrax was unlike anything in Korath Empire history. What had started as a simple refugee hunt was now a massive battle against an alliance of over 200 ships from 47 different species, all united under Earth's defensive leadership. Admiral Min Jun Park stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching as more Allied vessels continued to arrive. Species that had been enemies for centuries were now working together, linked by Earth's shield network into one unbreakable defensive formation. Admiral, reported Captain Lee Dong-wook, we now have enough Allied ships to protect every refugee convoy in this entire sector of the galaxy. The Korath Empire cannot attack anyone without facing our combined defense. Dr. So Young Kim was overwhelmed by the communications coming in from across the galaxy. Sir, I'm receiving messages from over 100 different worlds. They all want to join what they're calling the Earth Alliance. They want to learn our defensive technologies. Engineer Kang Mi-rae had been working for hours to integrate the new Allied ships into Earth's shield network. Despite the differences in their technologies, she had found ways to link them all together. Admiral, the combined defensive barrier is now strong enough to protect an entire solar system. Nothing the Korath Empire has can break through. War Commander Thrax watched his tactical displays with growing horror. His 80 attack ships were now facing a defensive force 5 times larger than his own, and more Allied vessels were arriving every hour. For the first time in his life, he was badly outnumbered. War Commander, his tactical officer reported nervously, our weapons are having no effect on their combined barriers. But sir, we're also receiving surrender demands from 17 of our own ships. Their crews are saying they refuse to fight against such overwhelming, defensive superiority. Thrax felt his command crumbling around him. The Korath Empire had built its power on fear and the ability to destroy anyone who opposed them. But they had never faced an enemy that simply refused to be destroyed, no matter what weapons were used against them. Chancellor Veltar contacted Admiral Park from his position in the defensive formation. Admiral, my people are asking what will happen after this battle ends. The Korath Empire still controls our home worlds. Even if we win here, how can we return home? Admiral Park had been thinking about the same question. It was not enough to just protect the refugees. A lasting solution required making sure the Korath Empire could never threaten innocent people again. Chancellor, Admiral Park replied, What if I told you that the Korath Empire is about to face the same choice they have given to so many others? Surrender or face overwhelming force? Dr. Lim Haejin, Earth's chief negotiator, had been preparing for this moment throughout the battle. She opened a communication channel that would reach every Korath ship in the system. War Commander Thrax, Dr. Lim, began in a calm, professional voice. I am Dr. Lim Haejin, representing the Galactic Defense Alliance. You are outnumbered 5-1 by forces whose only goal is to protect innocent life. Your weapons cannot penetrate our defenses, and your position is hopeless. Thrax responded with typical Korath arrogance, though his voice betrayed his growing fear. The Korath Empire does not surrender to inferior species. We will fight until every ship is destroyed. That is certainly your right, Doctor, Lim replied calmly. But before you make that decision, consider this. How many Korath families want their sons and daughters to die for an empire that attacks defenseless civilians? Her words were being broadcast to every Korath ship in the fleet. The ordinary soldiers and officers could hear everything she said, and many of them were starting to question their orders. Furthermore, Dr. Lim continued, the Galactic Defense Alliance offers an alternative to destruction. Any Korath ship that surrenders will be treated with honor and respect. Your crews will be returned to their families. Your empire will be required to pay reparations for the damage you have caused, but your people will not be harmed. Admiral Park watched as several Korath ships began breaking formation. Their crews had heard Dr. Lim's offer and were choosing surrender over pointless death. Engineer Kang monitored the communications between Korath ships and reported to Admiral Park. Sir, I'm detecting arguments on at least 30 enemy vessels. Many of their crews are refusing orders to continue fighting. The final blow to Korath morale came from an unexpected source. Pilot Kieran, the young Zephyrian who had been flying support missions throughout the battle, managed to hack into the Korath communication network. Attention Korath Empire forces. Kieran broadcast to the entire enemy fleet. I am a Zephyrian pilot whose family was killed in your attacks on our worlds. But I want you to know that Earth has taught us something important. Revenge is not the answer. Justice is the answer. Her voice was heard on every Korath ship as she continued. Earth could have destroyed your entire fleet hours ago. Their weapons are powerful enough, and they certainly have the right after what you did to innocent civilizations. But they chose protection over destruction. They chose to save lives instead of taking them. Kieran's words had more impact than any weapon could have achieved. Korath soldiers who had spent years being told they were fighting for glory and strength suddenly realized they were just bullies picking on the weak. War Commander Thrax watched in disbelief as ship after ship in his fleet surrendered to the Galactic Defense Alliance. His own officers were looking at him with doubt and fear. War Commander, his second-in-command said quietly, perhaps it is time to consider our position. We cannot win this battle, and the longer we fight, the more of our people will die for nothing. Thrax looked at his tactical displays one final time. The Earth Alliance now had over 300 ships in defensive formation. His own fleet was down to fewer than 40 vessels, as more crews chose surrender over suicide. Finally, the mighty war commander of the Korath Empire did something that no Korath leader had done in over a century. He surrendered. Earth ship, Thrax said, his voice heavy with defeat. This is War Commander Thrax. I surrender my fleet to your alliance. Admiral Park felt no joy at the enemy's surrender, only relief that the killing could finally stop. War Commander Thrax. This is Admiral Park. I accept your surrender. Please have your ships power down their weapons and prepare to be escorted to a neutral location for peace negotiations. As the Korath ships shut down their weapons, something extraordinary happened throughout the galaxy. The news of Earth's victory spread from world to world, carried by the fastest communication systems available. For the first time in generations, Civilizations that had lived in fear of the Korath Empire began to celebrate. Chancellor Veltar broadcast a message to all Zephyrian survivors scattered across the galaxy. My people, the nightmare is over. Thanks to our friends from Earth and the alliance they have built, we can go home. The Korath Empire has surrendered, and we are free. Dr. Lim began the long process of negotiating a permanent peace treaty. The Korath Empire would be required to return all conquered territories, pay reparations to their victims, and submit to monitoring by the Galactic Defense Alliance. But their people would be treated with fairness and respect. Admiral Park looked out at the massive fleet of Allied ships surrounding them and marveled at what had been accomplished. Earth had answered a distress call from across the galaxy, expecting to help one species defend itself. Instead, they had started a revolution that changed the entire balance of galactic power. Admiral, Captain Lee said with a smile, what do we do now? We came here to protect some refugees, and we accidentally created the largest peaceful alliance in galactic history. Admiral Park laughed, feeling lighter than he had in weeks. Captain, I think we go home and tell Earth that they're about to become very popular. Something tells me we're going to be receiving a lot more distress calls in the future. As Earth's fleet prepared for the long journey home, they left behind a galaxy that was fundamentally changed. The age of conquest and empire was ending, replaced by an era of cooperation and mutual defense. And at the center of it all was a simple principle that humanity had brought to the stars. Sometimes, the greatest strength is the willingness to protect others, no matter the cost.